Hi everybody, it's Tracy from SSS back again with a video for you. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about gross pay versus net pay. Now for those of you who have a job now or have had one in the past, you've probably noticed some of the things that gross pay and net pay have in common or the differences between them. But for those of you who are going to be going out into the real work world pretty soon, we want to talk about what some of the things are that are coming out of your paycheck that are making that big difference for you. So here I have the basic formula that you're going to be dealing with when we talk about how you calculate what your net pay is. And what we're really talking about is if you get offered a job and they say you're going to make a certain amount of money, so say you get a $30,000 salary, that does not mean that at the end of the day, you're going to be taking home $30,000 a year. 30,000 is your gross pay. That is what you are actually earning. But then we have deductions that are going to come out of that. Once those deductions come out, then that's the money you actually get to take home, and that's what's called your net pay. That's what what your actual paycheck is going to be. So what we want to look at today is what are those deductions? Where is that money going? Okay, so there are a couple different kinds of deductions. There are mandatory deductions, and then there are voluntary deductions. The mandatory deductions you can't do anything about. We have things like Social Security, Medicare, federal tax, state tax, and local tax. Now you'll notice on the chart here that I have that state income tax and local income tax, it says if applicable. Now not every state in the United States charges income tax. The United States does, Wisconsin does, fortunately or unfortunately for us, and not every local town has an income tax. Okay, so some places where you live, you will be charged those, and some places you would not. But no matter where you live, you're going to be having to pay Social Security tax, Medicare tax, and federal income tax. So those are some chunks of money that will be coming out of your paycheck. Voluntary deductions. Are you going to be putting money away for retirement? That could come right out of your check before you ever see that money. Are you going to be paying life insurance, disability insurance, health insurance? FSAs and HSAs, those are health savings accounts. So money that comes out that you can then use to pay for health care, doctor's appointments, things like that. So here's a little example. Sample for you. So if someone has gross pay of $2,000, so for that pay period, we'll say in this case it's someone who's getting paid 2 times a year. So this would be for half a month, you're earning $2,000. Then they would take out Social Security tax, which is 6.2% of what you earn. So in this case, $124. They would take out Medicare tax, which is always 1.45% of what you earn. So in this case, $29. Federal tax and state tax. Now, federal tax is always dependent on what tax bracket you're in. And then it depends on how many dependents you claim, which is a whole other story that we could talk about. State tax is usually a percentage, again, based on dependents that you claim. So there's some numbers there. Then at the bottom, you can see we put in some of those deductions that you get to choose about, how much goes into your retirement, how much is going into your health insurance. Now, health insurance, usually if they say they offer you health insurance, you're usually still going to have to pay for part of it. So we put a number there. And you can see then that the net pay for this person would be $1,327. So at the top, you actually earned $2,000. Down at the bottom, what you get to take home is $1,327. So almost a difference of $700. So over a year then, I figured out what that would mean for you. That would mean that if you actually were earning that $2,000 twice a month, you would be earning $48,000. But if you were only taking home $1,327 out of that, then at the end of the year, you would be taking home $31,848. You can see that that is a difference of $16,152 that you were earning, but not actually getting in your paycheck. And that is a difference of 33.65% of your income. Now, some of you may look at that and go, whoa, that's a lot. But actually, that's pretty standard. For someone who is in a middle-class income bracket, you tend to lose about 35% of your income to taxes and other standard deductions. So that's something you want to keep in mind. If you get a job someday or a job offer and they say, well, you're going to make $50,000 a year. Well, 50,000 sounds like a lot of money, but I want you to think, well, if I'm going to lose 30% of that to taxes and other deductions, 30% of 50,000, that's $15,000. So you would want to take that right off the top and think, they say I'm earning 50,000, but in reality, I only get to take home about 35,000. So when you start budgeting, deciding what it is you can afford, where you could live, you're not living off of $50,000. You're living off of that after tax money. You're living off of that net pay, which would be that about 35,000. So keep in mind that that 33%, that percentage there that we say you're losing when you go from gross pay to net pay, that's going to be pretty standard. So you want to always remember what they say I'm going to make and how much I'm going to take home are not the same thing. Sometimes they're not even close. Okay, so if you have more questions about that, or you want to delve into that a little bit more, you can always go to It Makes Sense, which we always talk about. They have some great information over there, but there's a lot of things you can find on the internet also about gross pay and net pay. So again, if there's anything that we can do to help, don't be afraid.